Welcome to our session on AICPA's Registered Apprenticeship for Finance Business Partners. I'm Joanne Fiore, the association's Vice President of Pipeline and Apprenticeships for Cgma in the Americas region. Tom Hood, the association's EVP of Business Experience and Growth, will kick off things today, discussing the context around why the association launched the apprenticeship. I will then discuss the fundamentals of the program and then hand it off to Barry Payne, our Director of External Relations, to discuss the Finance Leadership Program, which is the instruction underpinning the program. With Barry is Jonathan Aves, VP of Global Transaction Services at Hanes Brands, to talk about Hanes Brands' implementation of the Finance Leadership Program. Tom, please take it away.
Joanne, thank you, and good afternoon to everyone on the call. We are the global accounting profession's largest association of professional accountants in the world, and a marrying of Cgma, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and the American Institute of CPAs, bringing together both the Certified Public Accounting License and the Cgma Chartered Global Management Accounting Credential. And as we started thinking about this world, we started to observe the changing landscape that was happening in finance and accounting really over the last 5 years. But something happened during the pandemic, and we now call it the Great Acceleration. The trends that were all at force shaping finance and accounting functions pre-pandemic have literally accelerated by, on average, 5 years. You can see some of the research that we did with a global futurist, but just look at those basic areas. E-commerce, 10 years in 1 year. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, 5 years in 1 year. Data analytics, 5 years. Cloud computing, 4 years. And you just go right down that list. And what has that had an impact on is the finance and accounting function in corporations have been dealing with this accelerated technology, and that's creating even more issues. And you can see the landscape of issues that today's finance and CFOs are dealing with, many flying in the last year, but supply chain we hear every day, cybersecurity from the advancement in e-learning, remote flexible work, ESG, that's environmental and social governance, business models, technology, you name it. And what we started to do is say, well, what's the actual impact then on the skills needed by a finance and business professional? So let me share some more research that we did with major corporate employers. And we started this in some of our conferences back in the summer, and you can see the top 7 issues there. Talent at that time was number 6, along with a couple of miscellaneous trends. The top things were accelerated digital transformation, maintaining culture and managing in a hybrid workforce, and a need for new skills. That had already shown up as one of the top 3. But look at how fast that changed to July and August in the summer of 2021, when talent flew up to number 2. And then by the end of summer, this past month in September and October, it's now tied for number 1 with that culture notion. But the need for new skills, accelerated digital transformation, are continuing, and those are creating this acute need for talent and talent with new skills. And that's where the Cgma comes in, and we like to explain what's different about the Cgma is that it's built on the deep technical knowledge of an accounting and finance professional, but it goes broader than that, and that's the broad part of this, right? Thus, we call it the T-shape. So we've always had the deep competencies in accounting and finance, although look at what's highlighted. Digital finance is a relatively new one that's now needed more and more by every accounting and finance professional. And then go across the top of the T, look at those topic areas, right? Strategic management, understanding risk better, business performance management, project and people management, and value management. Look at 3/4 of the competencies built into this program are not your typical technical accounting and financial skills. And thus, that's why we think the time is right for employers, because these are the skills that everybody says they need. And to be what's now showing up as a finance business partner, meaning you have to cross the boundaries of a major company or inside even a firm notion, you have to have new skills to be able to coordinate across those. Thus, the idea of adding value and being a finance business partner. And with that, I want to turn it back to Joanne to talk a little bit about this new apprenticeship program that we're coming up with.
Thank you, Tom. AICPA's Registered Apprenticeship Program was approved by the U.S. Department of Labor in 2021. It's the first registered apprenticeship in the accounting and finance profession at this level in the United States. So you can imagine why we're so excited to bring it to you today. The registered apprenticeship leads to the occupation finance business partner. Our registered apprenticeship has the four major components of all apprenticeships. One, instruction, in this case, using AICPA's Finance Leadership Program. Two, paid on-the-job training. Three, mentorship at the employer site. And four, a credential. Here, the globally recognized Cgma, Certified Global Management Accountant. Apprenticeships appeal to a wide range of candidates. Graduate students preparing to enter the workforce, non-traditional students, such as working adults, candidates leaving the military. Apprenticeships are at their core career development programs. They establish a pipeline of employees that an employer can develop and monitor over time to greatly increase the chance of developing a highly engaged, more skilled, more long-term employee. They're a talent pipeline management tool that allows an organization to build in addition to buy talent, and in doing so, take control over how they address their ongoing and future talent needs and improve recruitment. Apprenticeship programs expand the candidate pool because the employer knows that not every hire needs to have all the experience, all the education, all the skills at the start, because apprenticeships will provide some. This allows employers to consider a wider pool of candidates. Employer responsibilities under the apprenticeship includes selecting and hiring the apprentices and paying above a baseline wage, in this case, above $14 an hour. Two, providing on-the-job training and a mentor to assist the apprentices in progressing. And three, working closely with the AICPA on reporting and progressing. To assist with this, the AICPA will provide expert guidance and a concierge service to employers to set up and manage their apprenticeships. The employer must provide a mentor who supports the apprentice and understands their learning and development needs. Doesn't need to be the manager, it could be a colleague. The mentor reports the apprentice's progress on the competencies set out in the Finance Leadership Program. The AICPA provides the concierge service to the employer free of charge. They do so to manage the apprenticeship and to maximize a firm's eligibility for federal, state, and local funding. In terms of managing the apprenticeship, the concierge service will provide technical assistance and support services regarding the apprenticeship, education, awareness, and training to firms, coordination and collaboration of government agencies, and apprenticeship registration and reporting. In addition, the concierge service will help a firm and student identify funding sources such as tax credits, tuition support, veterans benefits, and wage reimbursement. DOL statistics show that apprenticeships yield results. They increase productivity and retention. A $1 expenditure in an apprenticeship yields an average $1.47 increase in productivity. 91% of apprentices remain employed after their programs end. And employers are satisfied with apprenticeship programs. 97% of businesses with apprenticeship programs would recommend apprenticeships to others. There are many benefits to employers of apprenticeship programs. The ones we are most focused on in this tight labor market are apprenticeships as an enhanced recruitment, retention, and upskilling tool. Plus, they increase the labor pool to help build a more inclusive workplace. Thank you. Before we go over to Barry and Jonathan to learn more about the Finance Leadership Program, let's watch this short video.
Good afternoon, everyone, or rather good evening from where I'm sitting. I'm Barry Payne. I'm the US and America's lead for employers. I don't think there's ever been a better time to think differently about how we hire, how we train, how we develop folks. Over the last 18 months, we've all had to think differently, and some of our paradigms have been shifting. There's such a shortage of skilled professionals out there. This is a wonderful opportunity. And at the heart of the apprenticeship, the registered apprenticeship program, is the instruction led by the Cgma Finance Leadership Program. And we're going to be talking about that, but I'm going to be talking about that with a very good friend, colleague, Jonathan Aves of Hanes Brands. Jonathan, just before I get started on explaining the high-level features of the program, would you like to just introduce yourself to the audience today?
Glad to, Barry. My name's Jonathan Aves. I'm the VP of Global Transaction Services at Hanes Brands. We're based in North Carolina, about a $7 billion revenue company. We have operations all around the globe. You'll probably know us for our Hanes and Champion brands. So really pleased to be here and talk about my experience with the FLP.
Thank you, Jonathan. I do have a T-shirt on underneath my shirt, honestly. So what is the Chartered Global Management Accountant? What is the Finance Leadership Program? Well, this anchors the registered apprenticeship. And what I love about working with you, Jonathan, and others around this is it's an incredibly flexible and versatile platform. So it's digital, which means effectively it can be self-paced, it can be tailored, you can learn at your own pace in your own time. And you think about just trying to provide a learning opportunity to the broadest range of talent you can. I think it warms to that. But as Tom mentioned, with his notion of the T-shaped finance professional, we've done a lot of research into skills and capabilities and competencies. So we want to build finance competencies across the whole of the finance business partner remit, which obviously starts with technical skills, but how you're able to articulate those in the business context, how you're able to talk to people and lead conversations and drive impactful decisions, whilst really making sure that you're able to leverage all of the accelerating trends in technologies that Tom talked about with regard to digital. And the final thing is the real-world application and the scenario-based learning and the very innovative case study assessment approach as well. It is really like going into a sandbox and really testing and learning, and I think that really magnifies, Jonathan, the appeal of the learning and the application of it in the workplace. But let me show you a little bit about the structure of the Cgma Finance Leadership Program. The digital platform and the exams have 3 levels, and they work from bottom to top in terms of sophistication. So the operation level is really for those individuals without a direct finance and accounting background. And those maybe appeal to those kind of generic, business graduates or variants of business graduates. The management level is more suited to those who may have gone down an accounting or finance route at school, or indeed have qualified with an MBA. And the strategic level is reserved for certified public accountants who are looking to diversify their career into business and into industry. And we work with various different organizations, including you, Haynes, in ensuring that we marry up the best possible level for people to start. This particular slide here is arguably the most complex and text-heavy slide that you're going to see today. But it's really, really important to show you because this is the structure from a curriculum standpoint of the Cgma Finance Leadership Program. And you'll see the three levels there, working from bottom to top. And I think, speaking about that T-shaped phenomenon for a moment, you see that all of the content is very intricative, and the content really traverses the need for, the next generation kind of business partner. Because on the left-hand side, you've got, I think, everything that you need to understand the business environment, your competitive landscape, and tools and techniques to become a really good digital business partner. On the right-hand side, it's everything downstream in terms of understanding the Ks and the Qs, understanding the accounting and financial strategic consequences of running a business or organization. And knitting it together in the middle is really your FP&A and risk management toolbox. And I think, knitting all of those three pillars together, which are examined in an integrated and synthesized case study exam, really brings the best out of the individual and their career possibilities. And what's really, really interesting about the learning is you can effectively take it in any order. Of course, you need to undertake all of the learning in a particular level to qualify for the case study exam at the top of that level. But for example, you can focus on a block of learning. Say, for example, you entered at the operations level. You can focus in on digital finance, really, really strongly in demand at the moment. And once you've completed that particular area, you do get a skill certificate, which I think is a great thing that you're able to show, and gives you some kind of celebration and some currency to your learning. And I do include this slide, Jonathan, again. I know that Tom showed it earlier on, but I think it's important just to reiterate the composite skills that you get and how they're aligned with the independent research that we've been doing with a number of you on the line, but also global organizations, which led to the development of the circle that you see on the left-hand side, which is that Cgma competency framework that I mentioned, the technical into the business, into the people, into the leadership, but all grounded by really good digital savviness and the ability to think about how the mindset can shift into really leveraging digital skills. Because digital skills is a really important part of the program, to be honest, because the program is digital. And it's important that we're able to maximize our learning aptitude and our learning mindset in how we actually learn digitally. And I actually want to show you some screenshots from the actual digital learning platform, if I may. So this is kind of your entry point into the Finance Leadership Program platform. This is a learning dashboard, and every single learner will get access to their own learning dashboard. And the idea behind this is it's really designed to allow you to control your own learning journey. At the end of the day, we would really like you to get to your exams, but you shouldn't really get to your exams quickly because you really want to kind of embrace the learning and find time for reflection and application. And this little bar you can use to sort of control your progress and make sure that you're on track. And I know that Haynes Brands, you give your learners plenty of support in that regard. So you get a learning dashboard, and what's really cool from an employer standpoint is that this learning dashboard can be aggregated for an organization. So Jonathan, you can view all of your learners at once, so to speak, and really use that data to make sure that individuals are progressing and bringing things back into the workplace.
Yeah, if you want me to, can I comment on it? I don't want to interrupt your flow too much. Is my problem?
No, please do. I wasn't actually looking at you, but go for it.
you're on a roll. No, I would say the dashboard has been really helpful for me. Then we can help celebrate people as they've got through a certain stage, right? Or we know they're going into their exams, and so we're able to, work with them, make sure they're as prepared as we can help them be. And Scott Kellum, one of your colleagues at the Institute, has been absolutely terrific in helping us, meet each month with them, cover obstacles, remove those obstacles out of the way, but also bring other companies in to help us, right? It's still fairly new for us, but we've been able to learn from peers and understand some of the best techniques that they might have brought in terms of pushing the cohort forward. Excuse me interrupting you.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. I mean, we have a fantastic relationship. It's absolutely great. Just a couple more visuals before Jonathan and I bring you in and we talk about, how Hanes got introduced to the program and what you're finding from it. This is just a screenshot of the portfolio of learning actually at the management level. So the blue area denotes the project management, people management side of things. The orange denotes effectively the FP&A and risk, and the green denotes the accounting and financial reporting. And you can see this is my own personal dashboard. And I've been able to learn all over the place. I've been able to kind of dip in and dip out. And I think that's really, really good in the sense of you can kind of augment your learning to where you are at the moment and the experience that you're getting. But this is just a couple of screenshots from the learning platform itself. You don't really need to focus on the actual, content, but rather the fact that it's scenario based and we put you into sandboxes of conversations and emails and everything to make the point. At the end of every level, and this is a really important part of the program, is the case study exam. So picture this. You play a role as either a junior or a senior finance business partner, depending on what level you're at, in a fictional company. And that fictional company is presented to you 6 weeks before the case study exam itself, which can be taken electronically, either at a registered centre or indeed by secure proctoring in your own home, which we're very proud of, especially over the last 12 to 18 months. And the exams are 3 hours long. They can be taken 4 times a year in 4 windows. And 6 weeks before the exam, you're given, this kind of pre-scene information. So you can do your due diligence about the company. You can start to scenario plan some of their challenges, some of the opportunities. And then you go into the exam after taking part in a review course, which is actually housed on the Finance Leadership Program platform. And you have a series of time tasks from either peers or bosses of the organization that you're working for here, which really allow you the opportunity to integrate and synthesize the information that you've learned at your level. And I think this is a critical and fundamental part of the Finance Leadership Program because it really brings everything together as if you were operating as a finance business partner. So Jonathan, we've worked together for the last year and a half on introducing this program to Hanes Brands. And I wonder if you could just maybe paint a picture of why you chose at Hanes Brands to offer this program to your team.
Sure, Barry. Yeah, I think we were conscious, as a finance team, we were conscious that we needed to do more to develop our team and that we needed to do more to create a talent pipeline over a period of years. We had run 1 or 2 programs. We were getting feedback based on those. We were looking and reevaluating, and then you had reached out to me at that time. It was like this, just the right moment in time you reached out, and we were looking for something a little bit different, a little bit more structured, a little bit more in-depth with finance, but the concept of the T really speaks to me as well. We wanted people that could be business partners. And so that was really the grounding of it. I think another feature that may be appropriate for some of the audience, we were looking for something that had a global accreditation. And so, we're a big global company. And so we wanted to offer this to more than just our US finance team. So that was an important feature to us. And then we were really thinking, I think, about the next generation of leaders in our company. I'm probably on the downside of my career curve, and we were just thinking about who is the next, where's the next generation coming from, and so those are really, I'd say, the main features. I should also be clear. So I look after just the transactional part of our accounting work. I've also worked in FP&A. I've got supply chain experience. So through my career, I've had a variety of roles. So I was asked to make sure this isn't just about like my area, this is about all of the finance team. And so it's been a great way of actually seeing, honestly, even for me, in my role, of just learning about some of the younger talent in our team, or just people at different stages of their careers. So we've got multiple parts of the finance team engaged in this program. We've got nearly about 30 people overall around the globe.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about that, how or what your strategy was, or how you went about selecting people to be interested in the program itself.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's probably something that I've learned a lot about over the last year. I went in probably with a sort of narrower scope. I honestly went in thinking originally of my own area and what I'd seen, where we had people coming in with degrees, not necessarily in finance, and we were just trying to offer them something that could really grow them, and maybe they could aspire to other areas of finance. At the time, our interim CFO, our Chief Accounting Officer, Scott Lewis, asked me to dream much bigger. And so that's when we brought in all the other finance area. When we opened the door there, in all honesty, and because we were keen on trying to put something together that we had really not done in this way, we opened the doors very wide. I know since then we've talked about, should it just be for more high profile, or in terms of ranking and talent ranking, should we be a bit more selective? We went very wide on this. I think at some point in the future we'll look again at that and just decide, based on the results, is that the right way to do it again next time? But for right now, we went wide because we wanted to be encouraging. We felt if people were prepared to put their time into this program, and remember, I'm there, Scott's there to try to help and facilitate. Their managers are there to try to help and facilitate. But ultimately, this rests on the individual putting in the effort and having made the comment about wanting to be developed. Now, here's your chance. And so most people have done really well with that. But in candor, one or two people, it's been a harder thing, right? You've got to really invest in this program and make sure you're setting aside the time. One of the things I do love about the platform, you were talking earlier about the digital, it's self-paced, right? So if someone's got a lot of challenges on their time outside of work and or can't get enough time in the work hours to get after this, maybe they're going to take the exam over a longer period of time or prepare for it over a longer period of time. Someone else that might be a little earlier in the career, maybe they've got less responsibilities, maybe they go even faster. But the fact is you can be self-paced about that. So that's a great feature in my mind.
What's the difference between the Cgma path and the finance and the registered apprenticeship program? Good question. At the heart of the registered apprenticeship program is the Cgma finance leadership program. So that's the structure, and that's what anchors the program. But around it are really key things. So number one, there is a very, very, I think, innovative approach to mentorship, which I think, for example, working with organizations and working with their learners will accelerate development and I think increase retention. Secondly, and down the road, there are financial incentives. Now, those may differ depending on the state that you're in, but there are financial incentives that our concierge can look at for, indeed, apprentices coming into organizations. For me, there's a big thing about looking at the talent pool differently as well and setting your stall out as an organization that is looking at, as Joanne mentioned, the widest aperture of talent. So I know that there are a couple of people on the call today. We've been working with them to look at career changes. And it may not be career changes in the sense of, individuals going from one industry and joining you. It may well be career changes within your organization itself. They might be in sales and commercial or in a call center, and they can come in and do this. Some of those are really, really important parts of the way that the apprenticeship could be positioned. But Jonathan, now that I'm off mute, and I hope that you're off mute as well, can I ask just for you to share with the audience some of the initial benefits that you're seeing from an organizational standpoint?
Yeah, glad to do so, Barry. And also, there was a question came in, and I just want to make sure I was clear. We have 29 participants currently in the program. They all went in at different levels. Many went in at the management level, but we did have people go in at the strategic level, and we had other people go in at the operational level. And maybe if I can, and I'll get to your question, Barry. So some people went on the strategic level. They were people that were CPAs, but to kind of Tom's point again about the T, they were just looking to round out some of that skill set and leadership from that. In terms of benefits we're seeing, I'd say there's probably several here. One I personally have loved because I have some responsibility in a couple of continents. I've loved seeing the collaboration amongst the team that are working together, maybe as partners, accountability partners, keeping each other pushed towards making the progress to get into the exams. So I'd love to see that collaboration. People have made connections with people that they've never worked with before, and they're all part of the finance area, but now they're just, maybe it's someone in audit they've not come across, someone in treasury, wherever it may be, someone that they've simply not come across before. I think there's been a sense of leadership as well, of just some of the things they've had to do in terms of setting up team sites to collaborate. I've really personally just enjoyed seeing that. I'd say there's also a sense of confidence that I've seen amongst the team. Particularly just the sense of accomplishment. You taught Barry about the skill certificates, and just I think that's a good way of seeing people get through that. I've seen a sense of confidence also when people have finished the exams. And pass those exams. It's just a real sense of accomplishment to go up to the next level and know that you're really heading towards that qualification in the end. So that's. And I think maybe one last thing, I think it's helping structure our career conversations. So it's each of the managers that I've reached out to, I think, that are managing the individuals on the participants in the program, I think they've all felt it really helpful. It's given them something to really say, this is the development program we agreed on. Here's how it's going. Here's some things that could probably be a little bit better. I think it's been extremely helpful. And I'm just super hopeful that over time, a little early yet, but super hopeful over time, that it'll be a really great tool for retention, as you mentioned a few minutes ago.
And actually, you raise a really, really interesting adjacent point. Okay, so yes, I mean, this is going to benefit apprentices. It's going to benefit your FLP, as I like to call them at Haynes. But the impact that it has on their managers and mentors in just helping them just take a step back and think about, okay, well, how am I showing up? What leadership am I providing? How can I help that individual career progress? Is really a benefit to them and the way that they operate as well. And just to give you an example of this, and I think it's really important to mention, one of the other key differences, I think, with the apprenticeships is a far, far more of a laser focus on competency development. So there's more of an emphasis as part of the apprenticeship structure to work with the apprentice around competency development. There are competency areas, which are the bullet points in this slide, Jonathan. So really, to have more of a focus on that. And I think that's great also in terms of raising the accountability bar. And your point around, structuring that career development experience. Now, I know that there are a number of Fortune companies that have very, very well established finance rotation programs, but those are really in the minority. And I think the game has changed out there in terms of ways of working around talent pools, around how we think about sourcing talent. And I think to remain competitive, And to keep competitive, Jonathan, you kind of need what you're doing at Hanesbrands. And you need to continue to do that and have that wraparound experience, especially for those kind of talent pools. So kudos to you.
Well, I think the labor market, I imagine most of the listeners can relate. I mean, the labor market dynamics at the moment are something I've not seen for a long time, right? It's just such a competitive market. The pandemic has really changed a lot of things. We've seen a lot in the media about the Great Resignation and so forth, right? I think all we can do is control what we can control and try to make sure we've got this development tool that was, authentic in promoting it, that it's teaching people the skills. We've got no end of demands on the team at the moment, whether it's inflation. I saw that on Tom's slide earlier. Totally top of mind for us with a lot of the input increases we're seeing, and working with the business partners. That's really, really important. We've got a heavy ERP lift coming over the next several years. Also, I think they're just the skills you've taught about here, just so relevant to what we need to teach the team. And overarching is just change, right? We don't know what the next 2 or 3 years will bring. So a lot of what the team has got to do is be ready for change, be ready and adaptable for what comes around the corner, because we just know everything's just accelerating. And just to clarify a comment I made, ERP, so enterprise resource planning. So we've got a major systems upgrade coming. We're really in the midst of moving from being a global holding company to being much more of a global operating company, bringing a lot of change and a lot of change in roles for the team. So it's an exciting time. And we've got to develop this next generation. We just think that the FLP is an important part of that.
Oh, thank you very much, Jonathan. Listen, we'll stop our discussion there. I'm going to hand back to Joanne, who's going to bring us home.
Thank you, Barry and Jonathan. And thank you for your time and attention. That wraps up our session. If you have any questions or would like to discuss the program, please email us at apprenticesus@aicpa-cma.com.